Hello everybody and welcome to today's session on Legionella risk assessing in domestic properties. My name is Jerry Whiteley, Technical Manager at the Chartered Institute for Heating and Engineering. So let's start out with why. Why? Because if you look at the first slide here, you can see that the Legionnaire's disease is actually on the increase. Just the other month there was an incident in the West Bromwich area being reported where someone contracted the disease. This is getting more and more common from plumbing systems, and this is where things need more and more awareness of that taking place. However, from a perspective with regards to enforcement in domestic dwellings, there isn't actually a legal requirement within that area. But if you are a landlord or a letting agent, then there is, because under the HSE guidance of your duty of care, you have to have your premises checked and made sure there are records kept that the water, the systems within are actually fit for purpose and the water's fit for human consumption. So you have a legal duty if you're a landlord and a letting agent. So let's take a look at who's responsible then with regards to taking out for the risk assessment. This can actually be done by the landlord or the letting agent. It's obviously better in a lot of cases to get someone in who's already deemed competent in the first place, and that should be a professional, fully qualified plumber. With regards to the next steps for the landlord, why has it come into a legal stance for the landlord? It comes out of the extracts of the Health and Safety Guidance 274 Part 2 under the Health and Safety at Work Act for your duty of care to those in the premises. If you're a landlord and you're going to use a managed agent to operate your premises for you on your behalf, then there'll be a contract in place with regards to who's responsible for the maintenance upkeep of that building. If, however, there is no contract in place on that party, it still will then therefore fall into the responsibility of the owner of the premises. So what is Legionella? Where does it come from? How's it happen? How's it got into that plumbing system? It actually gets into the system through the water in the first place. It's naturally there. And what we've got to then start to do is look at the reasons why this bacteria can start to be activated. And generally speaking, it's activated by multiplying within warm water, within set temperature ranges. If you look on the slide here at the moment, you can now see that on the slide there's various common waterborne diseases. There's about 5 there on that list. If you look at the bottom one, SARS. Well, here we are in the COVID-19, which is a SARS-related disease, and likewise with this Legionnaire's, it's a very similar activity. Further down, we can start to see then with regards to the influences of water temperatures. Now, the prime area really for the growth of Legionella within water being warmed, and that can be within a hot water cylinder, a cistern of water in the roof space being warmed up on a summer's day, those kind of places where it's easily warmed up. How might Legionella bacteria form in my home? Well, it's based around the influence of temperature ranges. Those temperature ranges are from 20 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, with the optimum temperature being 32.2 Celsius. We need to look at in regards to also in the areas of where we can then eliminate that from happening. So when we heat hot water up, for instance at 70 degrees C, we could pasteurize hot water and instantly kill off the bacteria. The safe storage, of course, is where it's 60 degrees C, which is our common areas. But we've also got to be careful as we go along is scalding. So if you're going to pasteurize at 70, make sure the water's been run off or cooled off to make sure that's not now what's about to come out the taps. As we lower the temperature, as you can see, it takes longer for that temperature to kill off the bacteria. So for instance, if we're down to 55 degrees C, it can take up to 19 minutes for that Legionella bacteria to be killed off. And so forth. The lower the temperature you go, the worse it becomes and the longer it becomes. To use hot water systems as an example, with regards to how we can heat that water up and make sure it stays safe, we tend to store hot water at around about 60 degrees C. Therefore, within that period, there's a time period of around about 7 minutes that will then kill off the bacteria. The lower the temperature, the longer the time it takes, and therefore the closer you get into the parameters. So if it's a 50 degrees C, you're looking at about an hour or so for that to be able to kill off the bacteria. The higher the temperature, then the more risk of scalding, of course, which we don't want, but it can be done as a flushing through method to kill off the bacteria, heat it up quickly and kill it off. And that tends to pasteurize the water and do away with the Legionella if you go through that process. So what are the things I should be looking out for within my property? Well, I should be checking the hot and cold water systems. I should be making sure that the cold water storage system is insulated, it's got a lid on top, and checking to look inside, especially if it's obviously not got a lid, to make sure that there's no biofilm on the inside of the system, on the water, no dead birds have fell in there, and generally any build-up of limescale, things like that, that's clinkering onto the edge of the system. We also need to make sure that we take a look at other aspects of things, where the popularity now of spa pools at home, which in actual fact are, again, another good breeding ground and therefore need to be checked. And this is one of the areas where for sure the increase in Legionella bacteria has been reported in the recent times. Carrying out the risk assessment is mainly a paperwork exercise and a visual exercise. It's by going around the entire property and looking at the whole system. It needs to be recorded on a checklist and on a schematic drawing. The schematic drawing is just simple diagrammatic drawing of where the pipes are, components and termination points. This becomes your records that you will keep a copy along with your consumer. This can also be used at a later date for maintenance records. If anything's altered, you'll be able to notice that over time as it's been altered, etc. as you go through. That just about wraps things up. However, one last thing. The Chartered Institute of Plumbing, Heating and Engineering have produced a booklet. And this booklet you can purchase directly from our website for helping you with risk assessing in domestic dwellings. Thank you very much.